where Colonel Gaddafi can be murdering his own people, using aeroplanes and helicopter gunships and the like. And we have to plan now to make sure if that happens, we can do something to stop it.
The top option, a no-fly zone, fighter jets on patrol, targeting Libyan aircraft ordered to attack protesters. Plan B, arming anti-government groups. Military assets, ships, planes, people are already on the move. The US has an aircraft carrier, the USS Enterprise, in the Red Sea. Near Naples is the HQ of the US 6th Fleet. 8 ships are there right now. The US also has an airbase at Aviano in Italy and a naval base at Rota in Spain. The British are further out, an airbase in Cyprus and a naval base in Gibraltar. And the French have a vast airbase at Istres.
There is very little that the international community can do at present. Very little. What it can simply do is seek to offer humanitarian support and get workers out of Libya. But what it can't do is get embroiled in what can end up being an open-ended civil war.
Britain and its NATO allies are looking at what it can do next to help the people of Libya. Obviously, there's a feeling that if they wait, then the situation might resolve itself. We could be in the final days of the Gaddafi regime. But if he hangs on, then they're going to have to do something, and difficult decisions will have to be made. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, London.
Well, joining us now from Washington to talk about military options in Libya is David Schenker. He's the director of the Programme on Arab Politics at the Washington Institute of Near East Studies. Thanks for waiting and joining us. The US has positioned naval and air forces around Libya. What is the US strategy? What's the thinking behind the current deployments?
Well, the deployment off Libya's shores really provides the United States with a great deal of options, whether we want to go the humanitarian route to provide humanitarian relief for Libyans living in the east, right now in the quote-unquote liberated parts of Libya, and also provides for a military option for enforcing a no-fly zone, if that is what the international community, whether the United Nations or NATO, if there's some type of consensus on this, then we'd be in a position to join an international coalition to do so.
What is the zeitgeist? What's your feeling about the White House and which way it's going? Is there a move towards, do you think, some kind of military intervention, or is everybody sitting back and waiting?
Well, I think that the waiting has gone on for quite a long time, and every day as the news of the atrocities spreads, I think there's more pressure on the administration to really consider this option within the international fora with great urgency. You know, the Libyans will eventually topple Gaddafi. The question then is, what happened to the international community? And I think the White House is really starting quite a bit to feel this pressure, particularly with the British talking about it more often publicly.
Do you think the US wants to be engaged militarily?
No, absolutely not. I think this administration in particular was elected to office on ending U.S. commitments, military engagements in the Middle East, whether it be Afghanistan, Iraq, and it's not looking to get involved militarily at all. I think the administration hopes very much so that the Libyan people will end the Gaddafi issue, will force them into exile, will kill him, will liberate their country. But it's coming to the understanding, I think, that there might be some need to level the playing field to end these fighter jets and attack helicopters that are really committing these atrocities.
There has been talk, as you know, around the world, especially in Europe today, certainly in the cabinet meeting in Downing Street with David Cameron, about this proposed no-fly zone. What does such a zone achieve?
Well, it would prevent these planes from taking off, would leave Gaddafi essentially with only his remaining ground forces, which appear to be dwindling by the day. The only real assets he has left are these aircraft that really change the balance of power and terrorize the people of Libya. So this is what we're looking at. Now, of course, it's not so simple as we heard from CENTCOM today. It requires really engaging with these anti-aircraft defense defenses. But this may not be after that initial step is taken. The United States can merely crater some of these runways and not be put in a position, or NATO be put in a position to take on aircraft every day. And if pilots can't take their planes off, then this becomes, I think, not an issue, and it's a non-issue essentially for Libyans.
David, we're going to leave it there. David Schenker, many thanks indeed for joining us from the Washington Institute of Near East Studies.
My pleasure.
I'll be back with more from Europe later in this news hour, but for now it's back to David Foster in Doha.
Stephen, thank you very much indeed. To Tunisia now. Yet more key political figures there have said they're quitting the interim government. Latest walkouts mean that 6 high-profile politicians have resigned since the weekend, including the Prime Minister Mohamed Ghannouchi. Protesters are demanding that all of those ministers associated with the former Ben Ali regime leave the interim government. So who are the latest ones to stand down? The local development minister and prominent opposition figure, Ahmed Najib Chebi. He's from the Progressive Democratic Party. Higher Education and Scientific Research Minister, Ahmed Ibrahim. Minister of Economic Reform, Elias Jouini. Latest resignations come as an Islamist movement was made legal 2 decades after it was banned. The movement's name is Ennahda, which means the awakening, and that decision will allow the movement to form a political party and take part in elections. Let's get more on that. The Ennahda party is led by Rashid Ghannouchi, and we're joined from London now by his daughter Yusra Ghannouchi, representing the party in the United Kingdom. Good to have you on the programme. Just remind us, first of all, why, I think it was 1989 that the party was banned, why that happened.
The party was banned and persecuted because it represented the strongest opposition to the dictatorship and authoritarianism of the government. But Nahda has been present and has been an integral part of the Tunisian struggle for justice and democracy. So this latest recognition, which Nahda has requested many times and has expressed its genuine desire to work openly and within the law, and every time its request was met with persecution, this comes as a very well overdue but welcome step.
I think it was actually second in the elections, which were held just before it was banned, with around about 17% of the vote. I want to hear your views on if Ennahda had a part in the government, whether it would want to introduce such things as, let's say, Sharia law in Tunisia.
Our priority is not being part of government. Our priority is ensuring the complete and peaceful transition from a dictatorship and injustice to a real democracy in Tunisia. And this is what is really at stake at the moment in Tunisia. And this is what hundreds of thousands of protesters have been demanding on the street, not only the resignation of the former interim prime minister and his government, but the disbanding of the political police, the dissolution of the old illegitimate parliament and chamber of deputies, the
what would you like to see in its place? Would you like to see Sharia law, for example, in its place?
This is all completely irrelevant.
I don't think it is, because it's